Hey guys, this is my first YouTube video and hopefully not my last, because I want to try to start chiming in like every week and a half. So let me introduce myself first. My name is Aracelly and I'm a stay-at-home mommy of 3 wonderful boys and a wife to a wonderful husband. This video is more or less going to be about me talking about why I left the LULAROE queue and why I chose to go with Agnes and Dora. So let's go into it. I fell in love with LULAROE. So this is one thing this video is not going to be with me talking about their clothing and why I didn't like it, because I still like LULAROE. The consultants that I have dealt with in my local area are awesome. The woman that I signed up under, she's awesome. I still speak with her. She's freaking awesome. So we hit it off very well. But in this video, I just want to give some of my concerns, and maybe you out there that you're either in the queue or you're thinking about signing up and you just want a little bit more information, because honestly I didn't really find too much information, and maybe I should have jumped into YouTube and watched a couple of videos, because now they're popping up more on a lot of women that are basically jumping ship, and we all have the same issues. We're all having the same concerns. We're all having that same nagging feeling. So when I was introduced to LULAROE, I fell in love with it. Just like a lot of women fall in love with LULAROE. They love the leggings. I love the leggings. I fell in love with the Anna. I fell in love with the Julia. And as I started going around to different consultants in my area, I was floored and I was intrigued and excited to see that these women were running this business out of their home. So I was like, hey, I can do this. I can do that out of my home, and I want to do it. So I worked for 10 years of my life before I became a stay-at-home mom. So it was a choice, and it was tough, coming from corporate America and then transitioning to be a stay-at-home mom. And I've been a stay-at-home mom for about 7 years now, and I absolutely love it. And one reason that I became a stay-at-home mom was to be more readily available for my children, to homeschool them, but at the same time wanted something that was for me. So I've always had that little thing in the back of my mind where I wanted something for me. I wanted to work, because that was just me working. Not saying that stay-at-home mom is not a job, because honey, it is. But I just wanted something for me. So anyways, I fell in love with the consultants that I met. And then I started, shooting the shit with them, to be honest, and saying, hey, are you making your money back? Be honest with me. I don't want you to crack open your checkbook and show me, but just be honest. Like, how long is it taking for you to gain your money back? And I had consultants tell me anywhere from a month, anywhere from 3 months, anywhere from 6 months. I looked online and there were women that were making their investment back. But it was anywhere between a month to about 6 months, I was fine with that. We are financially stable enough that we had the cash readily available, or the funds readily available, but it was still something. I'm like, I'm not trying to get up off of $5,000 and just be like, whatever. If I don't make it back, it is what it is. No. So I wanted some real numbers on, can I make my money back? So anyway, all the women that I talked to in my area, in my town, because I live in a small rural town in California in the desert, and all these women were making their money back. They were. So I believed them. One of the questions that I also started asking them, because when I first started searching out LULAROE for the clothing, not to be a consultant, I remember going into on the website, and you put in your zip code and it shows you who's in your area. So when I went in there in California and it popped open the map, it was like I couldn't even see the United States, because it was like LULAROE consultants everywhere, and I was like, whoa. So I was excited on the other end, because I was like, wow, I can get clothes and I can find these consultants so much more. they're more readily, available. So when I popped up in my area, in my town, there were 2 consultants. In a 20-mile radius, there was you can add about 3 or 4 more consultants to that. In a 40-mile radius, it was about 12 consultants in my area. So I said, okay. So I started going around and searching out these consultants for clothing, for my personal clothing. So when, like I said, I seen these women doing it out of their home, I fell in love with it. And then just the connection that I had with that first consultant that I met, I loved it. So I spoke to my husband. We talked and he said, hey, if you want to do it, let's do it. So I was like, okay, I want to do it. Signed up. But in the meantime, I was asking questions before I signed up, and I was seeing things, but at the same time, when you really want something so bad, you see it, but you really don't see it. You kind of dismiss it. So I signed up, and I still thought to myself, I could still do my research, because being in the queue, you can wait anywhere between 6 to 8 months. 6 to 8 months, 6 to 8 weeks in the LULAROE queue until you get your call, and then you have to give your funds. So on the money end, I was good. But at the same time, once I started waiting, and even before I was waiting, something just wasn't sitting right with me. But I was so excited because I seen all these clothes and I wanted them in my home. And I was like, oh my God, they can make their money back, and then I can start making profit. But you have to listen to your first mind, and I'm a prime #1 believer of that. Listen to your first mind. So I asked all of the consultants, I want to say maybe about a few days before I signed up, I see that there's so many of you guys in one area. Are you worried about saturation? And I also explained to them, when I popped open the map, there were tons of consultants across the United States. Every single one of them told me the same thing. No, we're not worried about saturation, because each one of us gets something a little different. So what I have, this consultant may not have, and I order what I like, and this consultant may order what she likes, which is true. But I started going around and doing a little bit more investigation, and I started opening my eyes, because at this time, 3 days had passed. I signed up, and I started thinking more and more, I'm going to give my almost $6,000 to this company. So what I started noticing, and things just started popping up more and more and more in my face that I couldn't dismiss. For one was the saturation. That was the prime thing that I asked everyone. So I thought to myself, gosh, I'm going around, kind of like spreading out my money between these 6 consultants, but everybody else is kind of doing the same thing. And you're going to fall in love with that one consultant that you want to buy from all the time. But I started noticing this. Not everybody was carrying things that were quite different. I would go to one consultant, and I started seeing that they were carrying the same thing. I started jumping into the multi-consultant sale, and I started seeing the same Carly. I started seeing the same Annas. The leggings, yes and no, because, certain things, like when it came to Halloween, it was like a mad rush for these Halloween leggings, and then everybody was buying them up. But then right after Halloween, you had Halloween leggings that you can bid on and win. And I was like, okay, this is really not too much different. So that was one thing. So it wasn't truly that all these consultants were carrying something different. Some did, some didn't. It's just the difference where some were carrying Annas and some weren't. Some were carrying Julia's more than they were carrying other pieces. Some had more Carly's than others. So it wasn't really that they were carrying different things. It's just that they were choosing to carry different selections, if that makes sense. Then the other thing that I started noticing is when I would go to some of the girls to support them at their pop-up, parties and venues, I started seeing that Like for instance, one consultant just started, she got her kit, and she had tons of pieces that after pop-up after pop-up after pop-up, she still had those same pieces. Those pieces weren't selling. So I thought, gosh, okay, I have to keep ordering, and I still have this bulk of items that are not selling, and my inventory is going to grow. So let's say, for example, if I order, 50% of items, but only, let's say 25% sell, nobody wants that other 25%, then that's going to sit there. Then I'm going to have to order again. And what if, 10% of what I ordered doesn't sell? That's going to add on to the already unsold items that I have. Now, pieces may sell over time, but then your inventory is kind of growing on the back end when that's not really your intentions. So that was a red flag to me. The thing that did not sit well with me was I'm ordering Annas, but I don't know what the hell kind of Annas I'm getting. I don't know if they have, hamburgers all over them. And honestly, who's going to buy a hamburger Anna? Now, I know that that's exaggerated, but that's what I'm saying. I can order the size and the actual, item, but I can't order the pattern. Now, that's one of the things that it's like a surprise all the time. But what if somebody wants, like I was searching for a black Anna? You can't go in there and just select a black Anna. So that was kind of not really sitting well with me as well. One of the other things that I started noticing, because once I signed up, then you get added into another private Facebook page for all the other women or men or whoever that are waiting to be onboarded. And I'm going to tell you right now, I think that's what kind of broke the camel's back because, well, it was two things that broke the camel's back. When I got into there, I was absolutely amazed. I wanted to run for the hills and I couldn't sleep because once I got into that private Facebook, there was over 9,000 people waiting to be onboarded. And then these consultants that were there telling me that they're onboarding anywhere between 200 to 500 people a day. And they still had 9,000 waiting. Now, when you go back and revert back to the map, when you open up and look at try to find a consultant, you cannot tell me that there's not oversaturation. And the reason why I can tell you that is this. Once I started seeing new consultants, and yes, this was the part that broke the camel's back for me and was like, I can't give these people my money. I seen a new consultant launch. Okay, she got her inventory. I was like, wow, it's amazing. It was great. But I started noticing this. When she did her Facebook launch, let's say 10 items sold, okay? Out of those 10 people that bought from her, 6 of them were consultants. Now that didn't sit well with me. And that's what kind of opened up my eyes where I said, oh, I get it. So I started paying attention to more consultants that were launching. And it was the same thing. Maybe it wasn't 6 out of 10. Maybe it was 3 out of, 10, whatever. But the point that I'm trying to get to is that I started seeing that it was consultants buying from consultants. I'm sorry. If I'm going into this business to buy things at, this price, why am I going to then buy it for retail? If I'm buying it for wholesale to sell it to the public, why am I going to be searching for items and pay for retail? Sometimes you have to, you know what I mean? Because you just can't snag your hands on a certain piece and you want it, and I get it. But that didn't sit well with me. So my thing is this. I'm not here to bash LULAROE. I'm not here to say don't do it. I'm just saying open up your eyes a little bit more and, kind of get out of that I want it phase and start thinking and looking around. Because I have 2 consultants literally in a 1 mile, 2 mile radius from my home. I would be the 3rd consultant. So, I mean, that's not really, it doesn't really sit well with me. It honestly didn't. And you cannot tell me that it's not oversaturation. And all the women that I talk to, all the consultants that I talk to, oh, we're not fighting over each other. There's enough sales. Yeah, because a lot of those sales are coming from other consultants, buying from other consultants. That's not what I'm getting into this business for. It's going to happen, but if more than 50%, 60, 70% of your sales are coming from other consultants, something's wrong. That is oversaturation. I'm sorry, it is. So I stumbled across, Agnes and Dora. This is what I'm wearing today. And I absolutely loved it. I kind of have that same feeling, but the thing that allowed me to make that change was this. There were 2 things, and only 2. And it was huge for me. I started doing research and I pulled up the website and I just fell in love with the clothes. Why? Because they were a little bit more wearable and you were able to buy pieces that you can already include into your wardrobe you have. I don't know anyone that just wears nothing but LULAROE. I don't know anyone that wears nothing but Agnes and Dora. I don't know anyone that wears nothing but, Under Armour. Let's just say, whatever. You're always going to have mixed pieces from here, cheap pieces, expensive pieces. You're always going to have that. But I felt that when you had LULAROE, it was a little bit more difficult to find those, pieces that can kind of blend into your other things that you already had. Now, when you have Agnes and Dora, that's kind of like how it's built off of, you can include it into stuff that you already had. So that was one thing. The clothes were a little bit more wearable. And I didn't have to go out and buy, a LULAROE top to match my leggings because, I couldn't find a top out in Target, whatever. So they were a little bit more wearable. They're much more wearable. And that's one thing I fell in love. So I wanted to get my hands on the quality of these things because I still have it in my mind that I want to, provide the service to sell clothing to women, to talk to y'all, to just get out there and own something that's for me. Another thing that pushed me over the edge to say this company is for me. I learned after researching that they had closed the queue, onboarding queue. Now that's something that's huge because even till now, LULAROE is still onboarding women. And when you go to some of these consultants' pop-ups, they weren't able to get certain inventory. They were selling out. They were on back order. Their tall and curvy leggings, were on back order for almost a month. But they're still onboarding new women and men. And you can't take care of your current consultants that are on the ground working. That's their money. Stop onboarding all these people and get everything together and then start onboarding again. So that was key to me that Agnes and Dora had closed their onboarding for a period of time and opened up a wait list because they wanted to get their factories prepared. They want to make sure that they're servicing the actual consultants that they have now. And this is coming from the horse's mouth. So I called, and guess what? They picked up the phone. I spoke to a live person. I was floored because I tried that with LULAROE. Yeah, it's not happening. You're on hold for hours. I'm not sitting on hold for hours. What if I have an issue and my lead person can't handle it? I need to speak to head office, and you're not going to do that. You're not going to be able to do that. You're going to have to log a ticket, and hopefully they'll get back to you in God knows how long. I spoke to a live person, and I asked her, why did they close the onboarding period now? And exactly what she said. We want to be able to provide excellent service to our consultants that we have now before we start onboarding new consultants. We want to make sure that we're prepared for the influx of consultants that are coming in. And there's a lot of girls that are finding out, and I keep saying girls, there are a lot of people that are finding out that there's an alternative to LULAROE. It's Agnes and Dora. Now, they have the same buttery soft leggings. I think they're better. They're more breathable. They sit better on my, on my waist. To me, I like them, So their clothes are not like the cheap version. You don't have to do a lot of thinking when it comes to sizing because it's true to size. So I'm usually a medium small, and I fit a medium small. Okay? There's not having to figure out what material is this, what material is that, what material is this. It's pretty mainstream all across the board. I don't have to ask the consultants, where was this made? Because you know what I'm talking about. You have done it. Where are these leggings made? Where is this where is this made? Where is that made? So you can kind of get a feel of the material because everything is kind of like all over the place. So I think that LULAROE just needs to kind of shut down shop a little bit, take care of the consultants that they have now, and there are going to always be women that are going to wait to onboard. But stop onboarding so many. So that's something that you need to think about. How can you fit into that, into that? If you have 10 consultants in your area, 10 LULAROE consultants in your area, I'm sorry, you're going to have competition because you're going to want that business to come to you. And your clothes are not going to be quite different than what the girl down the street has. It's just not going to happen. But then at the same time, if you can't order things or someone's beating you to the punch and you can't get any of it because it all sold out in 2.1 seconds, that's your business. But every month you have to make an order to, keep your stuff going. So just think about it, just research it, talk to more women, and if it's not for you, don't feel that you have to fork over $5,000. Because that was one of the things also too, is I paid for this $5,000 package and I wasn't even getting leggings in there, which is one of the top sellers. I had to come out my pocket another $700 to get leggings. And this wasn't even for sure that I was going to get the tall and curvy leggings because they were still out of stock at that point. So, there is an alternative to it. Think about it. Find out more information, and if it just doesn't sit well with you, don't fork over your money. I'm personally right now in the waiting. I'm on the waiting list. So I'll be hopefully making a commitment to get on here and just document my journey. I've been on the waiting list for Agnes and Dora for about 2 weeks now. Hopefully we will hear something, or I will hear something in about another week or two. But it is the Christmas time, so I know they're trying to get everything, finished for the year, take care of their consultants, and I can't be mad with that. I cannot be upset with that. I cannot be upset with the fact that they are going to close down their onboarding at this point in order to take care of their consultants. I want a company like that. Do you know what I mean? I want a company that's thinking about me at the same time when they're, in the business to make money, because I'm in the business to make money as well. So, I wish you guys luck. And if you do choose to stay in the LULAROE queue, rock it out, do your thing. I just, couldn't fork over my money in that fashion to know that there were still things that just weren't sitting right with me. You know, like I said, the onboarding was still going when their system absolutely sucks. Their customer service is horrible. They were on back order, you know, month, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks. To me, that's unacceptable because your consultants are on the ground making their money, trying to make their money, but you can't deliver their products in order for them to do that. So you're kind of handicapping them. And then at the same time, there is oversaturation. I'm sorry. They're going to tell you it. Look at it for yourself. You cannot tell me if there is, like I said, I live in a small town, so there's one McDonald's in my town. One. Now, if they were to open up 3 more McDonald's in my town, you cannot tell me with a population of 15,000 people that 4 McDonald's are going to be able to thrive. It's not going to happen. 2 of those are going to most likely go out of business, if not all 3, leaving just 1. So think about that when you're, you know, thinking about jumping into the situation, when you're jumping into something that's big like that. And that's not chump change, people. This is a lot of money, you know, even from a person who have the funds. You know, we've been blessed enough to be able to be financially stable in that manner, but that's still not just $50. Shit, I don't even want to throw away $50 on crap. So $5,000, $6,000, that's more money for me to think about. So anyways, this was supposed to be short and sweet, but I see that there's about 30 minutes that I'm hitting on this video. So hopefully I'll see you guys again. Hopefully this was some information that just got you guys thinking. This is, like I said, not to bash LULAROE. I just think as the company, they just need to slow down. I think they need to think more about the consultants that are on the ground, because these women are absolutely freaking awesome. You know, the women that I have met, these are hard-working women that are hustling. They're making their money. And I think that they need to have a business that's going to work just as hard for them, getting their shit together, you know, keeping them happy, and being readily available for their consultants. And if that means you need to stop your onboarding, then you need to stop. So hopefully I'll see you guys again in about a week and a half. And hopefully I didn't ramble too much. So like I said, this is my first Facebook, you know, video. And thank you guys so much.